Okay, so I want to talk about markers, right? Because the beautiful, divine, and prophetic thing about everything Yahuwah does and says in his word is that he leaves markers, right? Almost like breadcrumbs, hints of who and what is connected to his covenant, right? So before I go deep into, the script element, I want to talk about the Hebrew language for a second. So the Hebrew letter in the Hebrew alphabet, the Tav, right? It's the last letter, and it means mark, sign, covenant. So the idea of this is almost like think about a landmark, right? If you're driving, if you are, let's say you're, out of town somewhere and you're looking for, or even if you're not out of town, let's just say you're going somewhere you've never been before and it's in an area that is unfamiliar to you. So the person that is, I don't know, let's say they are from that area, or it's their business or their shop or their house or whatever, and they want to help guide and direct you to where they are. What they will do is obviously, and nowadays we got GPS, you feel me? We got Waze, we got Google Maps, we have tools and resources to help us to get to places. But back in, the times of when the Torah was given, right, we didn't have those things. So saying all this to say, the idea behind the marker or the landmark is to help you, watch this, family, identify where you're going. Identify where this person you are meeting actually is, right? So the purpose of the marker is the same purpose of the sign, right? X marks the spot. So I'm saying this to say everything. So now let's bring the biblical understanding to it, right? Everything, and not just Deuteronomy 28. I was watching this, it wasn't really a debate, but it was a discussion between, some Hebrew, some Hebrews, some Christians, and some, other women that identified as Jews, right? It actually was a really good discussion, right? But saying all this to say, one of them was really like, she thought she ate with this analogy. She was trying to disprove us, right? Black Hebrew Israelites here, scattered here in, in America and, to the four corners of the earth. Her way of trying to disprove us being the people was her using the Genesis 15 prophecy of Abraham's vision where he saw his descendants, right, sent into captivity, right? And for 400 years, they would be afflicted in a land, a land that they do not know, that whole thing. And fourth generation, they will return. And so she's like, okay, yeah, the fourth generation was Moses. This only applies to them. But again, everything in Yah's Torah, everything in Yah's word, right, is connected. So that prophecy is a cyclical prophecy, meaning that it didn't just apply to Mitzrayim. Like, I could get into the semantics, the details of how long our descendants, how long our ancestors were actually in ancient Egypt, also known as Mitzrayim. And I could do that whole thing and just prove that this prophecy, even though it did apply to that generation, and yes, Moses was the fourth generation from Levi, no one's taking away from that, but it's a cyclical prophecy because of all the other places in the script where Yah left markers of who his people are based off of what would happen to them, not only in their captivity, but what would happen to them in the lands that they were scattered to. These are called markers. And Deuteronomy 28 is not the only place. It's one of the main places, but you have so many other places, right? Joel 3, one place, right? Zephaniah 3, another place. Daniel 7, another place, right? Jeremiah 23, another place. Jeremiah 2, another place. All throughout the book of Isaiah, right? So what I'm saying is I could go on and on and on with that, but in order to identify these markers, these breadcrumbs, you have to be familiar with Torah, and you also have to have an understanding of the language to see that these markers point to who the people are, because the seed will always matter. So just want to put that out there, man. Yahuwah is a Elohim of order, alignment, justice, and yeah, he's thorough. So again, this idea of him leaving markers, again, it's all going to point back to the mark, the sign, the covenant, right? Very, very, very specific things. Last thing I want to tell y'all, before I end on this topic, is that someone did a study on the chances of every prophecy in Deuteronomy happening to a specific people, right? Like the probability of it, right? And they deep data that they use, and long story short, the chances of that happening based off the statistics, what am I looking for? The ratio. There we go. The ratio of people that are spread all throughout the earth and that lining up to one specific group of people, the probability, the ratio it's almost like 1 in 1 billion, right? One in 1 billion chance of that happening, just based off of everybody's demographic, their conditions, and what the markers would actually point to, right? 1 in 1 billion chance of that actually happening. And guess what? It actually did happen, right? So I'm saying all this to say the markers, we can't forget about the markers, right? The script I have posted up right here from, Jeremiah, it's explaining how even the reset of the heavens and the earth, when Yah wipes and cleanses and purges the earth, even if that were to happen, the sun and the moon being taken away, the stars not shining, right? The natural elements, the luminaries in the Shamayim, even if those things are removed, regardless, Yah will not forget about his covenant with Israel. That's how important the seed is. So of course and that's another marker. This is what I'm showing you. This prophecy right here is another marker of who the people are, based off of them going through all the craziness that they have gone through to still wake up to who they are, right? Almost aligns perfectly with Ezekiel 37 too. Because remember, these people were dead. They were dead. Buried alive. Someone come dig me up. Right? Just saying. That was us. We were spiritually dead. But guess what? We were brought back to life by Yah's word, by his promise. And Yah left markers to be evidence of this. So just wanted to be obedient and share that with y'all, man. I love y'all, man. Don't forget about the markers, right? The more we dive deeper into this metaphysical Torah, you will see that everything Yah does is so strategic on so many levels. He will never do away with his seed. Shalom.